Hallo, hallo, hallo. Goedenavond en welkom bij een hele speciale editie van College Tour. We zijn in het buitenland. Dit is het Cirque Royal, het Koninklijk Circus in Brussel, in België. Buiten staan 2000 mensen te wachten voor een concert op dit podium. En wij zitten hier binnen met een heel intiem gezelschap. 100 studenten uit Nederland. Zij gaan vragen stellen aan de man die 16 Grammy Awards heeft gewonnen. Erelid is van de Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. En natuurlijk zijn doorbraak kreeg met als frontman van The Police. Onze gast vanavond in College Tour is Sting. Thanks a million.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm just finishing my coffee.
You just woke up, I heard. We saw a great concert here yesterday evening in Cirque Royal. First of all, you being a teacher in a previous life, do you like to teach?
No. No, I live my life, and that's teaching. I think teaching and entertaining are the same thing, actually. I think the best teachers are the entertainers. Some people who are passionate about their subject, whether it's maths or music or soccer, that passion is what teaches people, not teaching.
What were you teaching?
Mainly the things I liked: English, soccer, music.
Right.
I wasn't very good at teaching math.
No.
I wasn't good at math.
And the other way around, what kind of student were you?
Good and not very good, depending on the subject. I was very good at English. I was good at art. I was good at history. But maths and science, no. So.
We know you naturally. First time in the Netherlands, you were. I don't know if it was your first concert. You were playing at Pinkpop. Does it still ring a bell? The festival?
Yes, I do. I think it was the main festival that brought the attention of the world to the police. And we were in the middle of the bill, I think, in the afternoon. We played in a very hot sunshine, but the place went crazy, and then gave us the confidence to become the big band that we became.
Right. We talked to two guys who were there as well at the time. Have a look.
77, 78. In die tijd was natuurlijk Engeland een rep en roer. Punk en postpunk. En een van die bandjes waarvan iedereen zei, nou dat gaat het worden, dat was de Police.
Oh, so hot! ...1979, 10e verjaardag van Pinkpop. De Police heeft voor 50.000 mensen opgetreden. Dat optreden was dermate succesvol. Het was zo warm, zo mooi. Je ziet die Sting nog staan daar in zijn vliegersoverall. En ze springen na afloop in het zwembad. En daar springen allerlei vrouwen achteraan. Ja, dat was gewoon een gekkigheid. Er zijn heel veel foto's van gemaakt. Die heeft in alle kanten van de wereld gehaald.
Ja, Sting was in die tijd de hip thing, hè? Iedereen besefte dat het ging worden. Hij heeft natuurlijk enorm veel zijwegen ingeslagen en dat tekent zijn diversiteit. De ene keer is het jazz, de andere keer doet hij songs van een 17e eeuwse Engelse tekstdichter.
Hij kan alles, hij kan jazz, hij kan blues, hij kan reggae, hij kan het gewoon.
Een concert met hem organiseren is altijd een enorm plezier. Hi Sting, good to see you. I stitched you up to do that, to do this performance. I hope you have a good time, and see you early July in Amsterdam. Take care.
Leon Raamakers, the big guy from Mojo at the time. So we just heard the news that you're coming to the Netherlands on the 3rd of July for a concert.
That's true. I'm coming. I always have a good time in the Netherlands. I love my promoter there, Leon. And I feel that the Dutch audience is very close to what I do. I think they understand what I do very well. They're very intelligent. And,
Shall we check them out then? Questions here. Please stand up, microphone will come to you and ask your questions to Sting.
Well, of course, many people listen to your music. But what artist do you consider yourself the best of the moment? What do you prefer to listen to?
I think my favorite at the moment is Lady Gaga. And you may laugh, but I think she's a fantastic musician. She plays with a great deal of authority. She sings extremely well. Also, the things she says, I think, are very useful. And her latest initiative about bullying at school is a very important one. And so I have a great deal of respect for her.
You played with her there as well.
I've sung with her on a couple of occasions, yes. Yeah. She can really sing, really sing.
Some people say it's the new Madonna, or is she a category in herself?
I think she's a category in herself. I think she'll be around for a long time.
Yeah. Hiervoor.
I saw you looking back when you saw your own images.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I find it very uncomfortable to watch myself. Because I'm used to doing it. I'm not used to seeing myself do it. So I avoid it at all times. I never watch videos of myself or performances, and I never listen to myself because it doesn't help me. Okay. So I get a little embarrassed. You notice that. Yeah.
For example, the Pinkpop concert, it looked tremendous. 50,000 people going berserk. That's not fun to watch anymore now?
No.
No?
No, I remember. I remember enjoying it because I realized we'd gone over to a lot of people. But to see it is not something that's a pleasing. It's not a pleasure to me.
What is it? Are you ashamed of anything?
No, I'm not ashamed. I'd get embarrassed. I'm a very shy person, and when I realize that I'm famous, it makes me feel uncomfortable.
Is that something that more of your colleagues have as a general trait? You hear that very often, that people who are on stage, not afraid for anything, that's what we think, are embarrassed or are shy.
Most of my friends who are in the same job as I am are not extrovert.
Bruce Springsteen is a friend of yours.
The opposite. They are quite shy individuals. By going on stage, you become the opposite. But I think generally you want to live your life in a quiet way and not be noticed very much.
But you choose a profession that does exactly the opposite.
It's a strange paradox, and I don't really understand it. But
Hiervoor.
To sing a song can be one of the most intimate and personal things you can say to somebody. Not only for maybe us who are listening to the song, but also to sing it. For who would you like to sing a song, and what would the message be?
You know, when I first sing a song, the audience is myself. I sing the song for myself, for the way it sounds. And then it's my immediate family. I play it for my wife. Or if any of my children are around, I play a song for my children. And then I play it to my musicians, my extended family, then my close friends, and then I go out into the world and I play it to everybody who will listen. But the important thing is to like the song yourself, to like what you hear, and then for my family. So.
Do you remember the one moment when you really knew you were going to dedicate your life to music?
I think I was 7 years old, and an uncle of mine was emigrating from England to Canada. And he left me his guitar, and he handed me this guitar. It was a very old guitar, and I fell around this guitar like an old friend, and I realized I'd found a friend for life, and that guitar would change my life, and it seemed to be the key to change my life. So I remember that day very vividly, and it was absolutely true. That guitar changed my life.
When is the day that you found out during the police, okay, we could be going to be a very big band because people are responding in a way that is exceptional. Is there one moment in time that you realized, okay, this could be interesting?
I think there was one night I did a concert in England, and it was at the very beginning of our success. And I was sleeping late. It was 10 in the morning, and I was awoken by a noise at the window. And it was a man cleaning the windows with a bucket and a piece of cloth, and he was whistling my song.
Which one?
He was whistling Roxanne. And I thought, there you go, that's market penetration. And I wasn't wrong.
Where's the microphone? Hiervoor.
You were playing last year in the Sinfonica in Rosso with your son Joe. And last February you were in Amsterdam, and then the son of Dominic Miller played with you. Why is that? Is it a coincidence, or is it you want to help them or give them some chance?
No, it's nice to play with your family. I'm a great admirer of my son's work. I think he's a fantastic singer. He's a great musician. Dominic's son is the same. You know, it's family.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice to work. I worked with my father when I was young.
Okay.
My son works with me.
Okay, well, nice.
How difficult is it for your son Joe, to follow your footsteps?
I don't think there are any easy childhoods. No one has an easy childhood, in my opinion. You'd have to ask him that. But he's followed in my profession, and he has no choice. He's a musician.
He wants to be. He can't do anything else.
You know, he has to play music. That's his soul's desire.
Yeah.
So he must do it.
We have a little clip of your son and your daughter, who's in music as well.
Oh, I'll watch that.
Ik doe een concert in de avond.
Just a little bit older than me. Just a little bit stronger.
Ik speel gitaar, ik ben een zanger.
If it's just me and you, we can find something to use. Don't leave, will you wait for something funny to pass through?
Two kids of yours, of the 6, are in music. Are you their influence? How did they get in the business?
The only advice I ever gave my children was to practice. I said to them, if you want to become rich or you want to become famous, you'll probably fail. So only play music because you love music. And they say to me, well, you're rich and famous. I say, I'm still telling the truth. Play music because you love it, not for any other reason. And both of them are very serious musicians, and they practice.
Right.
So that's the only advice I've ever given to them. I think people are curious about what they do, so that's an advantage. But I also think there's a disadvantage for them, in that they're judged in a much more specific way, not a very helpful way. So there are advantages and disadvantages.
Yeah. You never told them, just don't do it, because you could see what happened to the sons of John Lennon. I mean, I know it's impossible to tell anybody anything.
No, I'm not that sort of father. I will, try and give them advice, but I can't say do this and don't do that. They're grown-ups. They want to do what they want.
Do they like your music?
You'd have to ask them about it.
Yeah, I'm sure they told you.
Yes, they do. They do. We have a mutual respect.
Yeah. Hiervoor.
Many of your songs can bring up personal remembrances and associations in the audience. How is this for you to play songs such as Fragile with this knowledge?
It's interesting because I can see that in the audience. I can see people responding in a personal way. For example, they may remember the first time they heard that song, what kind of relationship they were in themselves, what kind of job they had, where they were. So in many ways, you're providing the soundtrack for people's lives. And that's very moving for an artist to realize that. And I have many songs that can be applied in that way. So it's a nice feeling. I recognize it. I feel the warmth and the feedback from an audience when they feel that way.
Is it something that you have, a memory to a certain sing song?
Yeah, well, especially fragile, because it's such a fragile and vulnerable subject. It's been associated with 9/11 also by yourself. Maybe?
It's a very ambivalent song, ambiguous song, and it has many uses. It seems to be used whenever something bad happens. People feel vulnerable or fragile, a disaster or some kind of terrorist outrage. And so the song has many uses, a very functional use. And I think as a songwriter it's a nice thing to have, although some of the times it's been used have been tragic. But the song has a purpose. You know?
Yeah.
When you are on stage, do you ever get over-emotional singing your own songs?
I have to be careful, because if I get over-emotional, I cannot physically sing. So you have to allow the music, the melody, and the lyrics to do the work for you. I'm not a method actor. I don't have to feel every ounce of emotion, because if I did that, I couldn't physically sing. So I try and keep a little bit of a screen between that emotion, the original emotion, and the one of a performer. But I shouldn't say that, really. It's my secret.
Yeah, here goes the illusion.
Hi. You do a lot of work for human rights. You have a Rainforest Foundation. If you weren't a musician, would you do this charity work anyway, and in what way?
I think, as well as being a musician, I'm a citizen. And I think all citizens, whether you're musicians or not, or in any profession, you have certain responsibilities. You have to vote, you have to pay tax, and if you believe in something, you have the right to speak about it. So I would probably do much the same as I do now if I wasn't a musician. I'm not sure how effective I would be. At least as a musician, I have a public platform, a forum to air my views on. But I think I might be the same outspoken kind of person without that, but perhaps not as effective. I don't know.
Okay.
We have a little clip of your work in that field. Let's have a look.
These are some Indian friends of mine in the Amazon. Their lives today are in great danger. Their beautiful home in the rainforest is being destroyed by logging, mining and ranching at a rate of 60 football fields a minute. This is the rainforest in 1900. And this is the rainforest today. And this is the rainforest in 30 years if present trends continue. It's all gone. The lungs of the earth destroyed.
Are you still active in the same field, the Brazilian rainforest?
Yes, I am. We have our foundation is the Rainforest Fund. We've been going for 22 years, I think. We have little projects all around the world in, I think, in 21 countries now, where we try and create legal infrastructure around the people who live there. Give them lawyers, we give them education. And they bring us projects that we look at, clean water or education. They're small projects, but I think they're very effective. And yes, I'm still involved.
Hiervoor.
You seem to be on the road a lot and on tour a lot, and I was wondering if you could describe what you enjoy about that lifestyle, what you like about it, and maybe what a typical day of you looks like.
I like forward momentum, constant forward momentum. I don't necessarily like looking back. I don't like watching photographs of myself or film of myself. So I like that constant movement. Tomorrow we go to Stuttgart. On the day after we come back up to Lille, and then we go to Berlin. So I like that movement. You could say there's a certain lack of responsibility there. I like that too. You know, you can just escape.
Do you feel at home everywhere as well?
I've learned to feel at home everywhere. You know, I stay in good hotels, and I travel well, and I travel with my extended family, my crew. I have a wonderful crew. So I'm not lonely. The only drawback is I miss my family. I miss my wife and my children. But they've all become road dogs as well. So, you know, they have my wanderlust. So.
And I noticed you have that Moroccan coffee table with you on stage all the time. Is that a way for you to make you feel at home on stage?
It's just somewhere to put my coffee.
Oh, okay.
It is, yeah, it makes me feel at home. That's my living room, the stage. You know, I know where everything is. I can walk around the stage blindfold. I know where everything is. I know where the people are. I know what they're doing. I know where the furniture is. This is my home.
So I think this Moroccan coffee table is over there, but that makes you feel at home on stage. That's the only thing
It's literally somewhere to put a drink. And it's a piece of furniture that I like. I know it's not normal for performers to have that, but I like it.
Yeah.
Thank you for mentioning that.
Hiervoor.
Hi, I'm really nervous to ask you this, but I love your song, Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic, and I wanted to ask you, may I sing it with you? Maybe not now, maybe after the show, because I'm really nervous and my heart's coming out of my chest.
You could sing it. We're going to do a sound check in a minute. Do you want to do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Good question. We'll just wait. Next one.
Yes, that's my girlfriend, and I'm very proud of her. We love music. Students are poor, you know that. I'm a student, so I'm poor. But I want to go to your show tonight. Can you do something for me?
Depends how well she does this afternoon.
Okay, that's good. Okay.
That's a good deal. We never know what kind of questions come in. That's what makes it funny. Hiervoor.
You as a big artist and like Bono, do you think it's right to use your fame as an artist to spread a political message?
You know, I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for other people. But as I said before, I'm a citizen. And so when someone asks me to speak up for a cause, and I can, and I agree with that cause, then of course I have to.
People listen to your music, they're a fan of your music, but maybe not a fan of your political messages.
That may be true, but then they can make a choice.
Okay.
You know, I only say things that I believe in myself. And, you know, I think my views are right. Of course I do.
Okay, hiervoor.
Hello.
Hi.
If you were part of our generation, do you think you would have been able to develop a similar career concerning our economic and environmental influences?
That's an impossible question to answer. You know, if I was part of your generation, would I be here in this position right now? Probably not.
No.
Probably not. Would I still have the same views I had about the world? Yes, probably. I think I would.
Why would it be more difficult in this time to have the career you had?
I think, you know, my career began at a special time. Now that time has moved on. It's much more difficult to get into the music business without being part of some sort of talent show vibe. And my music was grown in pubs, in clubs, on what I call the factory floor. It wasn't made in television.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for that.
Do you watch those talent shows like Idols and The Voice?
I've watched them and I'm not impressed.
No?
Not by the artists themselves, but by the whole idea of being judged. It seems odd to me. It seems very odd. And they seem to be encouraged only to sound like someone who already exists, to obey some stereotype of what it is to be a singer. And originality is not particularly sponsored or supported.
Hiervoor.
In your own projects, almost everybody you work with are great improvisers. Can you share with us why you want to work with this kind of musicians?
It's been my strategy for my whole career to work with musicians better than me. For example, if I was learning to play tennis, I'd want to play tennis with someone better than me so the ball would come back. And so I have to raise my game to stay in the game. Well, the same with music. So I work with better musicians than I, so I can raise my game and then I can have a dialogue with them. And I keep doing that. I've always done it, I always will.
And the second question is that in one of the interviews you're talking about Stravinsky as being like one of your, well, maybe your idols. And I would like to know, how can we hear the output of you being influenced by Stravinsky in your music?
I like Stravinsky, but I'm not sure what kind of concrete influence he's had on me, perhaps rhythmically. I probably, if you were looking for an example of my music and another composer, maybe Prokofiev would be a better subject, because I've actually stolen wholesale bits from Prokofiev. But I think it's fine to steal as long as you admit that you're stealing. We all do, because all the composers stole from each other, and we still do that. But I like to, I listen to music to learn. I don't necessarily listen to music for pleasure. I cannot lie down and listen to music and just drift away. Even if it's bad music, I'm analyzing what it is. In the supermarket or in the elevator, I'm still forced to. It's a kind of a curse.
Okay.
But music is my life, and so I'm constantly on.
Okay, thank you.
Have you been influenced by Bach?
Very much.
Have you ever been jealous when you listened, for example, to the cello suites? Is it like, okay, this is a level that never anybody can...
I'm not sure how useful an emotion jealousy is. You could spend your entire life being jealous of other human beings and their achievements. I think you can be proud that you're part of the same
team,
the same human race, the same human family, and
admiration. Then
admiration is a much better emotion to have than jealousy. I would never think of myself as being jealous of Bach. That's ridiculous.
Have you taken pieces of his music in your music as well?
Of course I have. Every musician has taken bits of Bach, whether they know it or not. They probably unconsciously take music.
Yeah.
It belongs to all of us.
I was wondering how it makes you feel to work real hard to create some kind of understanding for your causes, the things you care about that much, just to find out that people don't seem to care, they don't feel responsible for those causes. You sang about that in Driven to Tears and songs like that. How does it make you feel?
I can't expect to convince everybody of my viewpoint. And also, I don't feel you can change the world by just expressing your opinion one time. I think you can plant a seed in someone's mind and say, okay, this is what I believe, and that seed maybe will bear fruit in the future. This group here, I imagine you are a group that will become leaders of your society. If I could plant a seed in your minds tonight with a song, perhaps it will bear fruit down the line, but not tomorrow. Certainly not tomorrow.
But you actually, in the 80s, you wrote, I think, maybe 4 or 5 songs about subjects like these. But now you don't write about these topics anymore.
I'm not sure how many songs I've written that dealt with advocacy. And I don't think I wrote any without finding a artistic metaphor to express it in.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the artistic metaphor that makes me different from a journalist or different from a politician. I need the artistic metaphor. Also, the song must work without any political substance as well.
Yeah. Is there anything specific you would like to fight in these days? What is of concern of you nowadays?
I think all of the problems we face on the planet, whether they're political problems, social problems, philosophical problems, artistic problems, whatever, are all about levels of consciousness. I think most of the planet operates on a very low level of consciousness. It's a survival level. And so I'm very keen that we start raising awareness and consciousness. And also people are very stuck in positions. They're very stuck in their conditioning, what they're conditioned to believe, and they cannot see another viewpoint. I think we need to open our minds to debate, genuine political debate, instead of just sound bites and a very poor level of political discourse.
Is it a cynical world that you describe? Because you're talking about a low level. People are not really...
I think cynicism is one of the results of that low level of consciousness, and people feel hopeless in that situation. In the political spectrum, we hear people talk, and the people are in a crisis, and yet the politicians, all they think about is being re-elected. We need to raise the level of political discourse.
Right. Somebody who's thinking of re-election is this gentleman.
I've done a lot of foolish things that I didn't really mean. In the garden of 1,000 signs, hold your pictures of our children, dancing in the sky, filled with lies.
You were playing at a concert in Washington for Bruce Springsteen, who got a medal of President Obama. And you have been playing at his inaugural ball in 2008, I think. Is he the politician that you describe just now, or totally the opposite?
No, he's certainly a man I admire greatly. I love the way he speaks. I'm glad he's the President of the United States and the leader of the free world as opposed to someone else. He's not perfect, you know. His term in the last 4 years has not been perfect at all, but I think he's learning his job. I want him to get another term. I think he will do very well. And I've met him, and the man is as he seems to be. He gives you time, he meets you in the eye, and I trust him.
What struck you when you met him, or maybe what he said to you, because you have met him?
What did he say? He said, you're on my iPod, he said. I said, you say that to every artist. He says, no, you really are. So I was very enamored of him because of that. But I like the way he expresses himself. I think it's a very poetic talent he has. He is a great speaker, a great way with words. And that's what you need our politicians to be. They need to be artists.
And just on the other side of the spectrum, the Republican political candidates for presidents?
There isn't a Republican candidate for president. They haven't got one, which is actually a tragedy for democracy, that they haven't got someone viable. And we you know, our democracy needs an opposing, coherent view, coherent position, but they haven't got one. And so that's not good.
Okay. Hiervoor, de dames aan het woord, die hebben het weinig gehad.
What do you think that what a song makes a good song? Of how?
I wish I knew that. Sometimes I've made a good song by accident, but I wish I knew what the formula was, because I'd use it every time. But
which one is it, that the song you made by accident that really fit the bill of being a perfect or very good song?
That's a very hard question for me to answer, and that's a critic's job. You know, for me, to separate my songs from one from the other is a mistake. They are one song. It's like asking me to choose my favorite child out of 6. I don't have a favorite child. But my songs are really one song. Some of them have been more successful than others. Some of them have failed totally, but they were the best work I could have done on the day in question. And I always think I've done the best work I can do. Whether it's good or not is up to other people too.
Okay, hiervoor.
I was wondering, as you are gaining years, does the tour life change for you? Do you handle things differently? Do you get more sleep? Because, well, maybe in the previous years you got out more, went out more, got to the pubs or something, and now I don't know what you do now.
We sleep in better hotels now than we used to.
Yeah.
In the old days with the police, we used to have one room, and we used to fight over the bed. And now I have my own room, and usually with good restaurants and a nice bar. And I love to walk. I really find walking very creative and very healing. And that's what I did this morning in Brussels. It's what I do in Amsterdam and wherever I travel.
With fame come some dangers, and there are tragic cases of people who are very famous, and some bad things happen to them. Let's have a look.
Let me bring you some breaking news now, coming into us from Sky Sources. The singer Amy Winehouse has been found dead in her North London flat.
Share my life, take me for what I am.
Whitney Houston, the singer, has died. We're getting reports now from her publicist, Kristen Foster, has confirmed that the singer has died. The cause and the location of her death, though, still remains unclear.
How dangerous has fame been for you in the beginning of your career?
I was lucky in that I didn't become successful or famous until I was 27. And I'd already had a job. I was a school teacher, I had a pension, I paid my taxes, I voted. And so I was largely a grown-up. I was also a father, I had a family. And so I didn't go from school to being a superstar. So I'm grateful for that. Nonetheless, it's still dangerous. Somehow, as a young person, you equate two things. You think success and happiness are the same thing. Because you're going for success, think, if I'm successful, I will be happy. This is a mistake. Success and happiness are not necessarily the same thing. Success can make you happy for a short time, but real happiness resides somewhere else. Real happiness resides in your relationships with the people around you, your family, or people you work with. It's not about how many records you sell or how many people are in your concert hall. And so I learned that lesson a little later. I was maybe 28, 29, when I was very successful and very unhappy at the same time. And that was a good lesson, because then I realized I must put my faith and my ideas about happiness into another place. And so that's where I am at the moment.
You published this box. There are 3 CDs in it and a DVD and a book. And in the book is this line that actually this gentleman has on his T-shirt. Maybe you could stand up, yeah. There's no religion, I hope the director can see it as well, there's no religion but sex and music. Why did you use that line?
It's a very polemic statement, I must agree. It's a rather sexy statement. I have very strong views about religion. I'm fascinated by religion. But, you know, I'm not fascinated by religious dogma. I think, as the rabbi said, treat other people the way you want to be treated, but everything else is just commentary. And I agree with that. Treat others the way you would want to be treated. And that's all. You don't need a massive, great book to tell you that. It's common sense.
Right. And the other 2 words?
Sex and well, they are my religions. I mean, what could be more sacred than the ability to produce other human beings? I know it's fun, but it's also a sacred practice, as is music. So there's a seriousness to it, but it's also fun.
What was your question?
Yeah, the question isn't about the shirt, but it's a great line, I think. But what I wanted to ask you is, when I'm writing music, I play the guitar, there's always this voice in the back of my head saying, oh, that line has already been written by somebody else.
Yeah.
Did that hold you back? Because I've thrown out a lot of songs. I don't know.
I mean, you're a very young songwriter, and you know, I'm quite an old songwriter. I face the same problem. And what happens is when you first become creative, you're a creative child, and everything is fine. You put things down, it's fine. As you get older and more sophisticated, this critic, this man who criticizes your work inside your own head, gets more and more strong. And he strangles the creative child. So you have to be very careful. Maybe a line has been written before, but you can alter it slightly. You can go from another point of view. But you're right, it's difficult. You think everything has already been written, and maybe it has. But you know, in literature, they say there are only 7 stories in the whole of literature, but we always find new ways of expressing them. And that's our job. But it gets more difficult as you get older, believe me.
Okay.
So,
thank you.
I think we're almost out of time for the interview, but our final question is always to the guest. Is there one piece of advice you would like to give to students here, people who are watching the show, that has been very important to you and that you have learned of life?
You know, I think I mentioned it before with regard to music, just practice. Practice your instrument. And just love the idea of getting better. They say it takes 20,000 hours to learn to play an instrument. I've done 10. Well, maybe more than that, but I should be better. But whatever your field is, you know, whether it's mathematics or philosophy or science, just work. And just work for the love of work, not for the end result. The end result will happen whatever, but just the love of work.
Sting. We understood that there is a small treat for these people here that you're going to play.
Yeah, my band is here. We're going to do a sound check, which is what we do every day, to test the instruments and test the room. So we're going to do every little thing she does is magic with my new.
Okay, come up.
My new singer.
Okay, I'll go back. We'll listen. We'll get this stuff out of the way. Thank you so much.
Great questions, by the way. Thank you. I was very impressed by your lines of questioning. I hope I answered them.
You did.
All right, now we have a special friend whose name I've forgotten. Please come on. Now, before you sing, I want to, when you're a huge star, I'd like a percentage of all of your earnings. Just sign that piece of paper there. What is your name?
Jantien. Jantien is a Dutch name.
It's a Dutch name, so I won't repeat it. Okay, so we're going to do Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic. Do you know the lyrics?
Yeah, but I'm so nervous. I'm afraid I will forget.
They're going to be written down there so you can read.
Okay, and I do know the chorus, of course. Yeah.
So do you want to sing the whole song?
No, I want to sing it with you.
Well, I'll help you out. You can start it, though, okay?
No, you can start.
Okay. Come on this side of me. Come on this side of me. Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Oh, I tried before to tell her of the feelings I have for her and all.
Every time that I come near her, I just lose my nerve as I've done from the start. And every little thing she does is magic. Everything she does is to me. Every little thing she does, every little thing she does, is magic, 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 magic.
Very good.
Thank you for singing with her.
What do you think?
Yep, good voice. You should ask him for your wedding. You're going to be married soon, I think. Thanks to the band. Have a great time in Brussels. En voor College Tour zit het erop. Tot de volgende keer met een nieuwe gast. Dit was Brussel, dit was Sting. Dank jullie wel. Tot ziens.